No matter what Zordon says, I know I am worthy!
Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode from Marvelous Videos. I'm your host Gemma, and today I'll be taking you through Rita Repulsa. The humanoid sorceress was a deadly nemesis of the Power Rangers. Rita Repulsa is a cunning sorceress who appears in the Power Rangers franchise. This stern mistress of magic has demonstrated that she will never be driven away without a fight. Villains have traditionally been cloaked in mystery, and Rita is no exception. Unfortunately for her, her beginnings and goals in life appear to be misunderstood rather than acknowledged. In this video, we'll look at Rita's repulsive side as seen in the Power Rangers TV shows and movies, because we all know Rita Repulsa is despicable, but she also has many secrets hidden under her sleeve. Mr. Z is now a mere husk of himself, a face stuck in a sophisticated digit tube, thanks to her. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, let's begin.
Your body is important, and he's about to get the special PETA from Rita!
The Mighty Morphin Power Ranger story arc featuring Rita Repulsa explored. Rita Repulsa is one of, if not the most powerful enemy in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers superhero TV series, and one of the Power Rangers franchise's key antagonists. She was a malicious space sorceress who aspired to conquer planet Earth with her distinctive magic wand. She was the main antagonist of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1, the secondary antagonist of Seasons 2 and 3, a minor villain in Zeo and in Space, and a secondary adversary in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. She is the franchise's longest running antagonist. As the Mystic Mother, she was also the foundation of all magical energy in Power Rangers Mystic Force. In Season 1 of the series, she was played by the deceased Machiko Soga, who later played the same role in Taiyo Sentai's Son Vulcan. She was played by Carla Perez from Season 2 onward, while Barbara Goodson delivered her voice in all seasons. Elizabeth Banks portrayed her in the 2017 film. Rita Repulsa was a comic sorceress who travelled the galaxy spreading evil with her legion of monsters and black magic, all while supporting her dad, Master Vile, as well as her master, Lord Zed, who later became her lover. She ultimately turned her attention to the Milky Way galaxy and met her match in the compassionate extraterrestrial Elder Zordon of planet Elthar. Rita persuaded her adversary to a phony peace conference, where she proceeded to lock him in an alternate dimension time warp. Before Zordon left, the magician revealed that he had his own backup plan. Zordon conjured up a space dump and flung Rita and her senior advisors and attendants into space. Rita was made to live through all the lifetimes of her multiple victims within the dump, which caused her continuous agony as she would enjoy a love-filled existence just to have her own self strike the world she was on. In the episode titled Green with Evil, we discover that Rita had been trapped in her dump for 10,000 years before returning to the moon. Soon after, a couple of curious astronauts found the unusual container and destroyed the barrier that held Rita's wickedness at bay. When she was released from prison, she demolished the dump and immediately set her eyes on Earth. Rita reclaimed her castle, which had been abandoned for millennia, and dispatched her top warrior, Goldar, to Earth to lay waste to the globe. Rita, to her dismay, was confronted by her adversary Zordon, who had succeeded in re-establishing communication with Earth and assembling fresh soldiers. Rita's minions were continuously beaten by Zordon's Power Rangers, who were teen humans wielding the magical power coins, as she launched her second invasion of the world. While Rita mainly depended on monsters conjured up by her devoted minion Finster, or with the assistance of other magical friends such as Lokar or Madame Woe, her stroke of genius came in the form of the creation of a 6th Ranger to oppose Zordon soldiers. Rita got a green candle from the Wizard of Deception to help her with the following plot. Rita, who had recently acquired a power coin, chose one of the Ranger's fellow peers, Tommy Oliver, to be her Green Ranger. While this worked for a while, Rita's plot was finally defeated when the Rangers shattered her spell and returned Tommy to the good side. Rita began to get scared when a storm of black energy started to erupt across nearby space a year after she had been rescued from her dump. In the episode titled The Mutiny, it is revealed that the storm, a representation of Lord Zed's might, came to a stop as the Lord of Evil moved inside the castle's chamber of command. Zed had returned to kill Zordon once and for all, dissatisfied with Rita's incompetence and her failure to rule the Earth after millennia. Rita is flung back into the universe after being sealed up in a space dump once more, only to pledge retribution.
Hiding around in a dumpster!
In the episode titled The Wedding, Part 1, Lord Zed must enter his year-long sleep of oblivion to renew his powers following the destruction of the Phantom Mare and ruination of the Rock of Time. However, Rita's dump approaches the moon and eventually explodes on the surface, but she is unaffected and manages to escape. Rita comes through her old terrace and begins shouting out for her previous henchmen for whatever reason, but receives no answer and proceeds to Finster's workshop, her lone surviving ally. Finster has spent the last few months lazing away in his workshop, lamenting his utter lack of use now that Zed is present. He's gone from a monster-making ace to a wuss, alone in his workshop when Rita enters, having crashed again on the moon and crept in. Finster initially dismisses her voice as mere auditory hallucinations in his head, but quickly discovers he isn't hallucinating and uses a potion to restore her to her proper size using his spectrum reintegrator. When Rita reveals her plan to recover her powers, Finster proposes forming a monster army because he has no better plan, but Rita rejects it. She instructs him to concoct a love potion in order to hypnotize Zed into wedding her in order to reclaim her previous grandeur without anybody being able to ruin it for her. Finster suggests using Alpha to capture the Power Rangers as a component of Rita's plot to present them to Zed as a token of love, which Rita gladly accepts. Finster gives Rita a facelift that regresses her by about 10,000 years in order to make her more desirable to Zed. Later, as Alpha makes Zordon appear ridiculous and Finster recreates her beloved monsters to threaten the Power Rangers, Rita prepares to give the love potion and succeeds without being found. In the episode titled The Wedding, Part 2, Rita hovers in Zed's rejuvenation chamber, saying that once she becomes his queen, she will make Zed irrelevant and shut him away in a dump as he did to her. She eventually wakes Zed up with a feather, and he instantly starts chatting with her and acting very silly. After being sent for by Zed, Goldar enters and quickly instructs the putties to take her, but Lord Zed prevents him, much to his surprise. Much to Goldar's chagrin, Zed then declares his intention to marry Rita, which Goldar is unable to halt and is even forced to arrange the wedding, much to Rita's joy. While the Power Rangers are being pursued by Rita's monsters, Rita rushes to Finster. She requests additional monsters for her wedding, with the condition that they provide her with several gifts. Rita and Zed toast their wedding with dry ice, but the Power Rangers escape the Spectre Theatre, so Zed ditches everything and expands the Rhino Blaster and the Pexstar when Rita suggests so. The Thunderzords are quickly defeated by the more enormous monsters, and Alpha takes the Rangers back to the Spectre Theatre. Rita has Finster apply her makeup while she cakes her face and laments about marrying Zed, even as she orders him to choose 2 creatures and send a few putties to protect the Power Rangers and prevent another escape. Lord Zed commences his marriage ceremony with his creatures as guests and witnesses, with both the Rhino Blaster and the Pexstar keeping guard. In the final episode of Rita's wedding story arc titled The Wedding, Part 3, Rita reclines in Lord Zed's command chair within Serpentera while Zed drives the Zord toward Earth. However, shortly after, just as Rita and Zed start a game of 99 bottles of slime on the wall, Goldar realizes that the Power Rangers had outwitted the enormously thick Pexstar and the Rhino Blaster and fled. When he informs his superiors, Zed instructs him to deploy the whole monster military to Earth to shut them off. Goldar sends the entire monster army along with putties to Earth, but they escape. The 2 villains rejoice as the Rangers retreat to the control station while being followed by monsters, but make it to the structure just in time and end the pursuit. As a result, Lord Zed uses growth bombs to grow the monster army, forcing the Power Rangers into a Zord battle where the monster troops could exterminate them. Their troops are quickly wiped off, and Rita and Zed flee toward the Moon Palace in shame. Rita decides not to imprison Zed as intended because she might require his assistance in the future. In the episode titled Return of the Green Ranger, Rita has a falling out with Lord Zed for unexplained reasons, but he urges her to seek advice from the Ghost of Darkness in order to call the Wizard of Deception and lock the Power Rangers in time. Rita contacts the Ghost of Darkness after some supposed begging from Goldar and laments that they have exiled the Power Rangers countless times, but they've always returned. The Ghost of Darkness claims that Tommy's leadership is the key to permanently defeating the Power Rangers. Kill him and the team disintegrates. Knowing his keen intellect, he recommends making a clone to assassinate him while the Wizard of Deception transports the other Rangers back in time. Rita praises the Ghost of Darkness before departing, and the entity is never seen again after he sends the Wizard of Deception. Rita later returns to Finster to gloat when the Wizard of Deception manipulates Bulk and Skull into stealing Tommy's hair. She then discloses her purpose, which was not her initial goal, to rebuild the Green Ranger and permanently destroy the Rangers. Meanwhile, despite the failure of Bulk and Skull, the Wizard of Deception and Zed's Putty Patrol place Tommy in a coma and produce Tom Oliver. Despite the fact that Rita and Zed appear to have all of the cards in their hands, the Wizard of Deception is finally killed and their plot disintegrates tragically. In the episode named Best Man for the Job, Rita decides to utilize the first week of Angel Grove's high student body president elections to further her own ambitions, but Lord Zed proves to be sexist and declares her ineffective as a villain owing to her gender. When he departs to devise his own strategy, Rita gathers Squat, Babu and Goldar and discloses her plot to use a magical rope to transform them into fiercely hostile competitors. Rita writes a letter to Tommy stating she has evidence to bury a rival and sends Goldar and the Putties, who manage to nab Saba, Tommy's enchanted weapon. Shortly later, when the Power Rangers reassemble at the control station, Rita travels to Earth alongside Squat and Babu, gagging Saba before doing a victory dance. 5 Power Rangers face Rita in an attempt to reclaim Saba, but she mocks them before unleashing the White Tiger Zord to annihilate the Power Rangers. Its overwhelming strength gives it the advantage against the Thunder Megazord, nearly destroying it completely, much to the glee of the bad guys. However, Tommy employs an electromagnet to rescue Saba, causing Rita and the minions to flee in order to escape getting crushed underneath the Tiger Zord's foot. In the episode titled Storybook Rangers, Rita discovers that Kimberly enjoys the Grumble the Magic Elf, Tails, and plans to send her, Rocky, and Tommy into the book, leaving the Power Rangers vulnerable and easy to destroy. She employs her magic to do this. Within the book, Rita even has an accomplice named Mondo the Magician, who she knows will destroy them for her, so she focuses her efforts on eliminating the Power Rangers who are still on the outside of the book. They subsequently escape once the Turkey Jerk is destroyed by completing the narrative, which takes Mondo out of the storybook, but the Thunder Megazord sends him right back, rendering yet another scheme a failure. In season 3 of the series, Rita's brother, Rita Repulsa, arrives at the Moon Palace to lend his sword to their quest to defeat the Power Rangers. He destroys the Thunderzords. However, the Ninja Megazord easily overpowers him and the Vampirus, thereby ending the conflict. Master Vile appears on the moon not longer after Rito appears to condemn his daughter's taste in men, but his plot that involves the blue globber fails, so he stays. Vile attempts to outdo Zed in controlling the Earth by using the Orb of Doom to travel in time on the globe and convert the Power Rangers away into children, but his scheme is foiled by the Aquita Rangers, and he flees to Gamma Vile in humiliation. While they work to restore order, Rita and Zed plan their most daring act yet. They will demolish the command center and seize the almighty Zeo Crystal for their own use. Goldar and Rito's explosion device goes off, but the Rangers, Zordon, and Alpha 5 escaped to a reinforced power chamber beneath the ruins. The Zeo Crystal is discovered among the ruins after Goldar and Rito misplace it during their escape. She had various origin stories in the comic books. In Power Rangers Unlimited Edge of Darkness, it is revealed that Rita's dad, Master Vile, met a supporter of Zordon named Lady Fienna of Lutus a few thousand years ago and fell for her before finally marrying her. Unfortunately, he kept his actual identity hidden from her, even though she finally found it and fled when she became pregnant with Rita. She approached Zordon, hoping for his protection, and eventually birthed Rita in his presence before attempting to nurture the child. Master Vile, on the other hand, never stopped looking for his missing wife and daughter. When he eventually located them, he dispatched the Tenga warriors, who recaptured the 6-year-old Rita and gravely injured Fienna. Vile then reared her in his brutal and psychotic ways. In the Power Rangers 2017 annual, we realized that Rita traveled to an unknown planet and enlisted a dog-like beast named Finster sometime after leaving Master Vile. This creature had recently unintentionally murdered his wife, who was named Plepra, and was afraid about how the other residents would behave with him if they found out. Rita preyed on his ambition to produce beautiful art, which were actually terrible abominations. She persuaded him to join her because she could make his dreams a reality, which he gladly accepted. Go-Go Power Rangers Issue 5 reveals that Rita was raised with her sibling Rita Repulsa to embrace evil practices and dabble in the art of black magic. Rita enlisted in the army of the notorious Lord Zed and began to help him in his galactic conquest, crafting a wand with which to harness her evil. Rita created a massive army of beasts and putty patrollers to follow her after becoming famous for wreaking havoc on Regada 2, Sorcery 7, and Tarmac 3. During her tyrannical rule, she commanded a horde of henchmen to capture Earth, a human-inhabited planet. Rita had captured numerous worlds in Lord Zed's service before being conquered by Zordon of Eltar amid her unsuccessful capture of Earth. The Sage imprisoned Rita in a space dump and tossed her into space, where she would drift for tens of thousands of years until eventually curving back to the moon. She and her henchmen recaptured their headquarters and launched a second assault on Earth to destroy Zordon and seize control of the world for Lord Zed. After a few years, she left Vile and ended up joining Lord Zed's armies, serving as his leader whenever he was unavailable to supervise an attack himself. She was conquering the Briel home planet with another Zed minion named Montour as the military general and herself as the puppeteer mistress, a little more than 10,000 years ago. They won because of Montour's plots and the overwhelming number of putty patrollers, but the deranged Montour wanted to commit mass murder in order to make more people fear her and Zed. When he prepared to go to the Briel Palace and lightly commenced such an evil act, she incinerated him. While Rita in the books isn't as jokey and over the top as her televised version, she will not condone war crimes until forced to, as evidenced by the Montour incident. She solely tries to destroy the Power Rangers since they are in complete conflict with her, even offering them the option of joining her in Go-Go Power Rangers Issue 1. Rita is undoubtedly wicked, but she is a global conqueror, not a destroyer, and she appears to be mindful that war crimes help to unite the people against one common enemy, and she would be vastly outnumbered if the Briel revolted. It's even indicated that the main reason she won the conquest was because she only murdered the warriors who were opposing her and left the citizens who simply wanted to live peacefully during the occupation. Rita was a friendly and caring person as a child, as she helped her mother cure the Phantom Ranger, and her parenting by Master Vile was a contributor to turning her evil since her dad was deceitful and, at times, harsh to his daughter.
What? You spent 2,000 years looking for a tub of...
Rita Repulsa was a crucial part of the following Power Rangers movies. In the 1995 film titled Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, Rita allied herself with Lord Zed. They snuck onto Earth with their cronies, Mordant, and Goldar in pursuit when Lord Zed discovered a hyperlock chamber in Angel Grove. Despite her displeasures and doubts, Zed releases the captive, unveiling him to be the famed supervillain Ivan Ooze, who she immediately likes and refers to as a real man. However, when Ooze returns and it is discovered that he did not destroy the Rangers, Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed proceed to berate Ooze, which irritates the evil man. Ooze overwhelms Zed and Rita, and he turns them into miniature versions of themselves, imprisoning them in a snowy globe, allowing Ooze with sole control over the base on the moon and lackeys to do whatever he wants. When things start to look up for the Rangers, Zed and Rita Repulsa cheer them on, knowing full well that doom awaits Ivan Ooze for crossing the Rangers. During a mid-credit scene, Goldar temporarily relaxes on Zed's throne as Mordant serves him, only to flee when Rita and Zed approach, having been liberated after Ivan is destroyed. In the 2017 movie titled Power Rangers, Rita Repulsa is an ex-Power Rangers member who has turned against them. She was the first Green Ranger on Zordon's squad and still uses her Green Ranger abilities in combination with her own. Rita Repulsa, the Green Ranger, arrived on Earth during the Senziak period to steal the Zeo Crystal, a magical item that let her control life and death. However, extracting it would result in the extinction of all life on Earth. Rita's objective was to build Goldar, a golden creature capable of removing the Zeo Crystal from within the Earth's surface. Zordon's initial band of Power Rangers fought her, but they were defeated when Rita killed everyone but Zordon. In a final attempt to stop her, Zordon sent Alpha 5, his assistant, to aim a meteor at her and Goldar. We are then transported to the present day as the green coin emerges from the depths of the water, grasped by Rita's shriveled body, which led her being taken out of the water by the fishermen headed by Jason's father and stowed in their boat. The following day, the freshly resurrected Rita murdered the law enforcement officer who had been sent by Jason's father in regard to her discovery. Rita went out to gather additional gold in order to properly recover her body, strength, and mind after her green coin's abilities barely kept her living for these million years, reducing her to a barely surviving husk of her former self. She accomplished this by snatching gold jewelry from anybody she encountered and, more often than not, murdering them in a cruel and somewhat animalistic manner. Her killings made headlines across Angel Grove, and the media dubbed her Angel Grove's Gold Killer due to her motivations for murdering. Rita came upon the city's jewelry shop full of gold jewelry after some murders. She then threatened the shopkeeper before taking all of the available gold jewelry and consuming some of it, much to the store owner's chagrin. Rita reforges her golden rod to contain her green coin as her mind and body gradually recover from the quantity of gold she swallowed. By the time she was finished, a law enforcement officer had tried to arrest her, forcing her to terrify him to the point where he had shot her at close range with his shotgun. Rita, amused by the police's brave attempt to restrain her, conjures a putty out of the hard floor in the shop before they both kill the officer and flee, leaving the business incinerated in a blazing explosion. She subsequently infiltrates the house of Trini Kwan, who is the Yellow Ranger, in order to learn the location of the Zeo Crystal. She understands that, while Trini doesn't have anything, another one of the Rangers knows where it is. She transforms into her combat damage Ranger suit to expose herself to Trini, and she admits she murdered the Yellow Ranger preceding her. The Rangers confront her at the dock in an effort to defeat her, but she easily overcomes the squad, tying the Rangers with rope. She threatens to murder Zack until Billy divulges the whereabouts of the crystal. Realizing that Zordon will lose respect for her if she doesn't murder at least one of them, she murders Billy by dumping him inside the water and choking him. Now that her gold manipulation abilities have been restored, Rita travels to the mines where Goldar has been scattered and begins to repair him. She also dispatches putties to where Zordon's control ship would be in order to divert the Power Rangers, only for it to be met with opposition. The Rangers uses their Zords to combat Rita, her putties, and Goldar. Kimberly wrecks Goldar by tossing Billy in the Triceratops Zord. Rita, on the other hand, restores him. As Goldar appears to have the overwhelming advantage, the Rangers realise they can combine their powers to construct the Megazord. The Megazord and Goldar battle, with Rita attempting to control him like any other Zord and Goldar losing. Rita is enraged at the idea of losing and Zordon condemning her for her actions and lunges at the Megazord, only to be greeted with a backhand slap by the massive robot, sending her flying into space with the power coin detaching from her. Rita grins as she pauses in the expanse of space near the moon. It is uncertain whether she can be resurrected. Long after her fall from grace, Rita still feels she is a worthy ranger. It is not explicitly revealed why she became evil, but it is safe to presume that she was tainted by her desire for the powers of the Zeo Crystal. Her aspirations drove her to viciously destroy her older teammates, mocking Zordon for refusing to share the Zeo Crystal's powers. Even Zordon classified her as a wholly evil entity, which is appropriate given what she had become. Rita is a classic psycho and a megalomaniac rolled into one. With grandiose fantasies, she viciously slaughters anybody and anything that is in the way of her ambition. Rita, who is homicidal and unstable, derives sadistic pleasure from hurting her enemies with nearly barbaric and bloodthirsty joy, prolonging the inevitable for minutes, leaving her victims wondering when and how she would decide to destroy them. Rita's insanity is also marked by her almost infantile and probably even animalistic glee, with wide, greedy eyes and a vicious smile, as witnessed by her poking and manipulating her adversaries over their critical organs. She takes tremendous delight in her kill counts, recalling how she murdered the last Yellow Ranger after sneaking into Trini's home with the purpose of killing her. She has a wicked, twisted sense of humour and constantly disparages the Ranger's talents, demonstrating enormous narcissism. However, given that she was exclusively responsible for the murders of the previous Rangers, prompting Zordon to devise a murder-suicide scorched earth plot to defeat her, her faith in her own talents is well placed. However, despite the fantastic resume she has built over her adversaries' bodies, Rita's steely nerves have limitations. When she realizes that the Power Rangers are a significant risk to her, she becomes enraged and loses all pretense of decorum. She also considers herself an outcast on Zordon's Power Rangers team. Rita and Zed also appeared briefly in Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. Divatox phones them in the dead of the night, asking for advice on how to kill the Rangers. Rita took the phone to a snoozing Zed, telling him that if she knew how to defeat the Rangers, she would not have been listening to him snore, and then advised Divatox to flee. Rita Repulsa in other Power Rangers media. In Power Rangers Zeo, despite the defeats, Rita and Zed host a lavish celebration in the throne room to commemorate their most major victory over Zordon's army. Their happiness is short-lived, however, as the Machine Empire, old foes of both Zed and Rita, organize a coup and compel Rita and Zed to depart the moon in Serpentera. Rita and Zed finally return to seek retribution when the Machine Empire is humiliated by the Zeo Rangers many times. After King Mondea's defeat, Rita and Zed have Finster construct a missile to obliterate the Machine Empire, but it develops consciousness as Louis Kaboom, who breaks free from their control and takes control himself. Later on, when the royal dynasty of the Machine Empire is momentarily destroyed by a bomb camouflaged as a gift, Rita and Zed reclaim control of the moon. Rather than immediately continuing their attacks, Rita and Zed decide to go on a vacation and return to get their retribution at a later date. In Power Rangers in Space, Rita and Zed join up with their compatriots in the United Alliance of Evil led by Dark Spectre to launch a last assault on the forces of good across the galaxy. Rita runs across an old acquaintance, Divatox, who is behaving more haughty than regular during a convention at the Cimarron planet. Rita hears from Divatox that she has beaten the Turbo Rangers, the heirs to the Power Rangers that have been causing problems for Rita and Zed for years. Rita, shocked, goes to Zed for confirmation. To her dismay, he adds that it is the hottest gossip of the universe today. Rita and Zed launch an attack on a world in the the Vika Galaxy in order to apprehend Trey of Triforia, the renowned Gold Zeo Ranger. Zordon achieves his last enduring triumph against Rita and Zed by sacrificing his life so that he can let his positive powers wash over the cosmos and purge it of evil. Rita cries for Zed not to let the flood of good energy grab her, but the wave eventually washes over them. It defeats the majority of their army while leaving her and Zed unharmed as humans. Rita, now cleansed, expresses her joy that both she and Zed were cleansed together as one, and at his behest performs a jig while Trey watches on in confusion.
And should it ever return, your magic must stop it.
In Mystic Force, Rita is shown to have rediscovered her magical skills and is utilizing them for good, 8 years following her purification. She rose to the position of Empress of Good Magic and head of the Mystic Ones. She serves as the Mystic Mother, providing the Mystic Force Rangers with access to the Morphing Grid and assisting them in their mission to battle evil mystic forces. Rita appears only in the 2-part finale when Optimus, the Master's influence over Nick, is broken and he travels to the Mystic Dimension to kill her in order to put a stop to all the good magic. The Snow Prince appears to advise her to go, but she resists and fights Optimus herself. Optimus, on the other hand, proves to be too powerful and absorbs her most potent spell before attempting to kill her. She seems to be slain after casting enchantment on the Snow Prince to dispatch him to alert the Rangers as to what has transpired. Optimus demolishes the Mystic Dimension, her palace. However, it is subsequently revealed that the Mystic Mother escaped his attack by transforming into energy before his spell hit her and then regenerating herself. She later supports the Rangers just before their ultimate fight with Optimus. Her final role is after Optimus's destruction when she breaks the 4th wall by saying that darkness is defeated by light and if it ever returns, our magic must stop it. In the 2015 short movie titled Power Rangers, Rita Repulsa played primary antagonist. This wicked horned alien, which presented herself as the very first Pink Ranger, Kimberly Hart, who perished in combat and had murdered the rest of the initial Rangers in a bid to dominate the planet alongside the Green Ranger, Tommy Oliver. Tommy strikes Rita in the last scene after she reveals herself. In Power Rangers Soul of the Dragon, although only seen in a flashback in which she kicks Scorpina further into the Talos dimension, Rita is referenced frequently throughout the novel by both Tommy and Anara, as well as the now purified Finster. She is the primary suspect in the recent breakout of power crystals which empower gangs, but it is soon discovered that Scorpina, as well as her boss Lokar, are the actual perpetrators.
Magic one! Make my Goldar grow!
What makes her so dangerous? Rita Repulsa is a strong, manipulative, and dangerous space sorceress with a broad spectrum of evil, magical powers that extend from the moon to everywhere in the planetary system. She can transform her minions into giants, project energy blasts, transport herself and others, called thunderstorms, enslave others to her will, fracture the ground, and control and transfigure items with her magic wand. Rita can also paralyze the Dragon Zord, capture adversaries in alternate realms, converse with and cause spiritual creatures, produce a total eclipse, and relocate her whole moon palace at command. Rita has created some monsters by morphing items and people, despite the fact that she depends on Finster to create her beasts, putty minions, potions, and gadgets. She can also utilize her repulsor scope to spy on her foes on Earth atop her moon palace, and a hovering velocipede to go about. She appears to lack any fighting abilities or superpowers that would be effective in any type of conflict, seldom placing herself in situations where this may happen and running if it does. Rita, who lived hundreds and hundreds of years before the present, is apparently immortal. It is unclear if her immortality is due to her evil magic, which was subsequently lost due to Zordon's cleansing wave before being restored with her new, equally powerful good magic later on, or whether she was already immortal before gaining either power. Rita obtained enormous and benign magical skills upon becoming Empress of all good magic. Her skills include assessing the Morphing Grid to grant Mystic Force Rangers mystical capabilities and scattering herself into particles, which she employed effectively to fake her death during Optimus's assassination attempt.
Magic one! Make my Goldar grow!
Conclusion. Rita Repulsa has created quite an exciting lore for herself through all the Power Rangers media that she's been a part of, but we think it's still safe to say that this won't be the end of her. This power-hungry sorceress hopefully will be coming back for another jab at the Rangers, or maybe even as their benefactor in future films and media. Through her antics and activities, she has become a somewhat comical but irreplaceable villain in the hearts of all Power Rangers fans. And it is safe to say that she is now an indispensable character. As a matter of fact, at this point, she might even be as beloved as any of the Rangers. We hope to see her in more scenes in future installments of the Power Rangers franchise, because she creates almost every scene and every media that she's a part of undeniably more interesting. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.